Should the Dallas Cowboys re-sign Ezekiel Elliott? I'm going to get into that and more in this video, but before I do, don't forget to hit the like, share, and subscribe button. Follow Boss Cowboy Sports on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. You can follow me, the OC100, on Twitter. Okay, so Ezekiel Elliott is a free agent running back. He was cut by the Cowboys a few months ago, leading into this coming draft. The question on the table today is, should the Cowboys re-sign Ezekiel Elliott? And if they re-sign Ezekiel Elliott, what type of number makes sense for Ezekiel Elliott and then also the Dallas Cowboys? So let's get into this. But first, a little bit of background. The Cowboys notably did not make any significant running back acquisitions in this year's draft. We drafted one running back, a scat back, an undersized back, a utility back in Deuce Vaughn. So, hey, you got Deuce, and hey, great job getting him. He's going to be a great player. I think a very change of pace, efficient player for the Dallas Cowboys, and really bring some unique things to the table with his skill set. Also, in the offseason, you signed Ronald Jones. Ronald Jones, former running back for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, looking to rebound and, hey, really extend his career. So you sign him on a short-term deal. Also, you have Malik in the building, and he was a good change of pace, smaller scat back that you had basically, since a couple years ago now, and you're trying to see if he can just contribute here and there in spot duty. And then your horse is Tony Pollard. Tony Pollard is coming back from a lower leg injury, and all indications say that he will be okay coming into this coming season. However, you never know until you see him play exactly what he's going to do and how he's going to look. So, with all that said, Ezekiel Elliott was cut, and it's interesting that Ezekiel Elliott had not been signed by a team. And I want to mention, and it's very worth noting, the running back market is definitely undervalued. And when I say undervalued, I mean this. I mean that teams are not breaking the bank for running backs. You can even look at what happened to NFC East rival running back Saquon Barkley. With all the upside and potential he has, yes, he's had some injury history, he was franchise tagged, and he was not given a big, massive extension. You can even look at running backs like Derrick Henry with the Tennessee Titans, how they handled him. He eventually got money, but look, he got franchise tagged as well. And this guy's a 2,000-yard rusher on a consistent basis. I mean, year in and year out, this guy's almost rushing for 200 yards or better or close almost every single year. So when you look at the offseason and you look at the landscape in the NFL of running backs, what you end up seeing is a lot of guys being signed really in NFL terms on inexpensive deals with not a lot of guaranteed money. You've had several backs signed 2-year deals, 3-year deals, and these deals are worth a max of maybe 7 to 9 million with about 3 million guaranteed, 2 million guaranteed, things like that. So with the change in the running back market, can Ezekiel Elliott be satisfied underneath those new terms? And I think that's really the question for the re-sign with Dallas Cowboys, or him going to any other club, because Ezekiel Elliott had over a $16 million cap hit going into this year, which is why the Dallas Cowboys let him go, because based upon his age, productivity, it was not feasible or financially smart, in my opinion, to keep Ezekiel Elliott at that number. And the Cowboys agreed with me because they let him go. Now, I know some people are Ezekiel Elliott apologists, and I know we have Ezekiel Elliott fans that watch these videos and that watch this channel in particular, and that say, hey, Ezekiel Elliott was hurt. Ezekiel Elliott didn't get a fair shake. Ezekiel Elliott had reduced carries. He's still similar. He had reduced carries in the Kellen Moore offense. He wasn't used right. And I'm going to address all those things one by one, and I'll answer, should we resign Ezekiel Elliott here in a bit. Well, what I'll say is that if you say those things, I think you're right in part. In part, not fully. I think you're right in part. Ezekiel Elliott did have reduced touches this year. He had reduced touches because after the Lions game, I believe, is when he got hurt. And he had reduced touches before that because you had the emergence of an explosive running back in Tony Pollard. So should they have been a two-headed monster this year? In my opinion, absolutely. They should have been a two-headed monster. And based upon what Ezekiel Elliott was and what he's done the last couple years, it was merited for the reduction in carries. He also had a leg injury last year that he powered and he played through. All right, so the second point about him not being used, effectively, I agree with that in part. I think that Ezekiel Elliott is a guy that should have been used a little bit more to close out games for the Dallas Cowboys. And he would have been used that way had Mike McCarthy been calling the plays and to put the game on ice versus us going spread and opening it up and doing things like that late in the game, right? When you don't really need to, man. You're up by 2 touchdowns and you're trying to throw the football. So I think that he should have been used more effectively in those spots. However, he was a goal line and short yardage specialist for the Cowboys, coming up with 12 critical, very important touchdowns for this team. So he's great finishing around the goal line. He's great finishing on short yardage as well. So, if you look at those factors, right, and you look at Ezekiel Elliott, reduction in carries, I covered that. You look at the fact that, not using him, using him a little bit differently. I think that, it's merited, right? He's a short yardage guy. And I'll say this, Ezekiel Elliott, just at this point in his career, didn't have the exact same burst that he had when he was younger, and that's to be expected. I think Ezekiel Elliott is still a really good running back. I think he has great visions. I think he is quick enough in the hole. I think he's strong. I think he's a punishing runner. He finishes forward. He hits the opponents that are trying to hit him. And so all those things make Ezekiel Elliott super valuable. So the answer to the question, should we re-sign Ezekiel Elliott? In my opinion, absolutely yes. Absolutely yes. We should re-sign Ezekiel Elliott. And I'll tell you a few reasons, in my opinion, why. Because Ezekiel Elliott is a short yardage specialist. Ezekiel Elliott, furthermore, is a semi-insurance policy. And notice I said semi, because Ezekiel Elliott has got hurt the last couple of years. He's a semi-insurance policy in terms of a veteran trusted power back that you could utilize if Tony Pollard gets hurt or if Tony Pollard is not 100%. Number 3 to that is that he's very comfortable working with Tony Pollard, and he knows the coaching staff already. And then also the last reason, but definitely not the least, I think that at this point, the longer Ezekiel Elliott remains unsigned, the lower his price gets. And he's going to have to really pay attention and recognize that, hey, man, this is what the market says. You got to adjust to the market. So if I want to play for a team this year and I want to be in camp or get signed later or whatever the case may be, then at the end of the day, I'm going to have to go market rate, which is whatever team is willing to pay me. I think for him, it's probably a two year, maybe a 5-year deal. Give him a fully guaranteed or give him $3 or $4 million guaranteed. Maybe he gets up to $6 million. I think that's the market for Ezekiel Elliott right now. I don't think he busts the bank and he gets up to $10 million or $9 million. I think he falls in below that, top $7 million or so, probably in the neighborhood of $6 to $5 million on a short-term deal. Makes a whole lot of sense for the Cowboys. Not expensive. One of the top all-time running backs for the Cowboys, a fan favorite, and a locker room leader for the Cowboys. It makes extreme sense to me. That's what I think the Cowboys should do. Let me know what you think the Cowboys should do. And if you agree with my thoughts in this video, follow Boss Cowboy Sports on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. You can follow me, the OC100, on Twitter. And until next time, salute.